Have you noticed something strange lately? Maybe your garden isn't as vibrant, or perhaps the price of your favorite fruits and vegetables has started to climb. You might not have connected the dots yet, but there's a silent crisis unfolding right under our noses, one that threatens our food supply, our economy, and the very balance of our ecosystems. It's 2025, and we are witnessing an unprecedented collapse of honeybee colonies. This isn't just a problem for beekeepers, it's a problem for every single one of us. Today, we're going to uncover the alarming truth about why so many bees are dying and what it means for your everyday life. Just a few years ago, beekeepers would worry if they lost 15 to 20% of their hives over the winter. That was considered a high, but manageable loss. Fast forward to today, and the numbers are staggering. Recent reports from across the United States are painting a grim picture, with some beekeepers reporting losses of up to 60 or even 70% of their colonies. Imagine being a farmer and losing more than half your livestock in a single season. That's the reality for beekeepers right now. This isn't a slow decline anymore. It's a freefall. We're talking about billions upon billions of bees vanishing. They leave the hive to forage and simply never return. This phenomenon, known as colony collapse disorder, has been a concern for years, but what we're seeing now is on a whole new level. So what's causing this bee apocalypse? The truth is, it's not one single villain. It's a perfect storm of multiple threats, all hitting our bees at once. One of the biggest culprits is the widespread use of a class of pesticides called neonicotinoids. These are systemic pesticides, which means they are absorbed by the plant and spread throughout its tissues, its leaves, its stems, and yes, its pollen and nectar. When a bee visits a treated plant, it gets a dose of this neurotoxin. It might not be enough to kill the bee outright, but it's enough to disorient it, to damage its memory and navigation skills. The bee can't find its way back to the hive, and it dies alone. Multiply that by millions of bees across millions of acres, and you start to see the scale of the problem. These chemicals are essentially creating a landscape that is toxic for our most important pollinators. Even when they don't kill bees directly, they weaken their immune systems, making them far more susceptible to other threats. And that brings us to the next major factor: parasites and diseases. The Varroa destructor Mite is public enemy number one for honeybees. This tiny parasite is like a vampire for bees. It latches onto them, feeds on their fatty tissues, and weakens them significantly. But it gets worse. As it feeds, the mite transmits a cocktail of deadly viruses. It's a one-two punch that can wipe out an entire colony in a matter of weeks. In the past, beekeepers had methods to control Varroa mites. But the mites are becoming resistant to the treatments, and the bees, already weakened by pesticide exposure, are less able to fight them off. New viruses are also emerging, and with global trade, these diseases can spread across continents with terrifying speed. A stressed, malnourished bee is a bee that cannot defend itself. Another huge piece of the puzzle is habitat loss and lack of nutrition. Think about what a bee needs to survive: a diverse diet of pollen and nectar from a wide variety of flowers. Now, think about our modern landscape. We have vast monocultures, endless fields of a single crop like corn or soybeans. While these might be efficient for industrial agriculture, they are a food desert for bees. For a few weeks, there might be a massive bloom, but once that's over, there's nothing for them to eat for miles around. It's like if you had to survive by eating only broccoli for a month and then nothing at all for the next two. This poor diet leads to malnutrition, which, just like in humans, weakens the immune system and makes bees more vulnerable to all the other stressors we've talked about. We've replaced diverse meadows and wild habitats with pristine lawns and agricultural deserts, and our bees are starving as a result. And finally, we can't ignore the overarching threat of climate change. Erratic weather patterns are wreaking havoc on the delicate timing between bees and the flowers they depend on. Unseasonably warm winters can cause bees to emerge from their hives too early, only to find that the spring flowers haven't bloomed yet. They burn through their winter honey stores and starve. Conversely, a late frost can kill off the blossoms, creating a sudden food shortage. More extreme weather events, like droughts and floods, also destroy both bee habitats and the floral resources they need. Climate change is a stress multiplier, amplifying all the other problems and pushing already struggling bee populations over the edge. It's a complex, interconnected web, and every thread is being pulled at once. So, why should you care if you're not a beekeeper? Because we all eat. It's estimated that 1 out of every 3 bites of food we take is dependent on pollinators, and honeybees do the lion's share of that work. Think about your favorite foods: almonds, apples, blueberries, avocados, cherries, broccoli, cucumbers. The list goes on and on. Without bees, the production of these crops would plummet. California's almond industry, for example, is entirely dependent on honeybees. Each year, nearly 2 million beehives are trucked into the state just to pollinate the almond blossoms. With current bee losses, there simply aren't enough healthy hives to go around. This is already leading to a massive increase in the cost of pollination services for farmers. And those costs don't just disappear. They get passed directly on to you, the consumer. The rising price of fruits, nuts, and vegetables at the grocery store is not just inflation, it's the bee tax. We're already seeing it. The cost of almonds has been volatile, and the price of honey has skyrocketed. As bees become scarcer, the cost to produce pollinator-dependent foods will continue to rise. Your grocery bill will go up, and the variety of fresh, healthy foods available could drastically shrink. We're talking about a future where apples are a luxury item and a simple salad is prohibitively expensive. This isn't an exaggeration, it's simple economics. The collapse of the bees is a direct threat to our food security and our wallets. But the impact goes far beyond the grocery store. Bees are a keystone species. They are fundamental to the health of entire ecosystems. They pollinate wildflowers that provide food and shelter for countless other animals, from birds to small mammals. They help maintain the biodiversity that makes our natural world resilient. When you remove a keystone species, the entire arch can crumble. We would see a decline in wild plant populations, which would have a cascading effect throughout the food web. The beautiful, vibrant landscapes we take for granted would become less diverse and less stable. The silent spring that Rachel Carson warned about decades ago is becoming a terrifying reality. The buzzing sound of summer is slowly fading, and we might not realize what we've lost until it's gone for good. So what can we do? It can feel overwhelming, but the good news is we are not powerless. Change starts in our own backyards. One of the most impactful things you can do is to plant pollinator-friendly flowers. Choose native plants that bloom at different times throughout the season to provide a consistent food source. Let a part of your lawn grow wild with clover and dandelions. Bees love them. And please, avoid using pesticides in your garden, especially neonicotinoids. Look for organic, bee-safe alternatives. Creating these small oases for pollinators can make a huge difference, creating safe corridors and refueling stations for them in our suburban and urban landscapes. You can also vote with your wallet. Support local, organic farmers and beekeepers. When you buy local honey, you're directly supporting the people on the front lines of this crisis. When you buy organic produce, you're re-supporting a system of agriculture that doesn't rely on the very chemicals that are killing our bees. Ask your local garden center if they sell plants treated with neonicotinoids, and choose to shop elsewhere if they do. Consumer demand is a powerful force for change. If we collectively demand more sustainable, bee-friendly products, the market will have to respond. Finally, use your voice. Talk to your friends, your family, and your community about this issue. Share this video. Contact your elected officials and demand stronger regulations on harmful pesticides and more funding for research into bee health. Advocate for policies that protect and restore natural habitats. This isn't a partisan issue, it's a survival issue. The collapse of the bees is a clear and present danger to our way of life, but it's not too late to act. Together, we can turn the tide and ensure that the vital hum of the honeybee continues for generations to come. The future of our food, our planet, and our own well-being depends on it. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up, turn on notifications, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And let us know in the comments what you're doing to help save the bees. Every action, no matter how small, makes a difference. See you next time.